What's up guys, Houndish here, and today I wanted to talk a little bit about leveling in Destiny 2 based on some things that we've learned as well as kind of past experience and how to level most effectively if that's something that you choose to do. I also wanted to talk about legendary shards, which we've learned some new uses for and specifically where they'll come from, the sources and how they work. I wanted to briefly mention a couple of other things including fast travel on planetary locations, so let's get into the video. Firstly, I want to talk about power level in Destiny 2 and how to be effective in the first few days of the game if you want to level up quickly. Of course, this doesn't appeal to everybody, but when you consider, some people don't have the most playtime in the world, some people may opt to try and power level multiple characters. This is something that should be useful for some people. Of course, this is by no means necessary to do. I'm not suggesting that everyone tries to burn through the game, but there are some things to note about power leveling and stuff which are worth knowing. So we recently learned some stuff about the power level and the climb to the maximum power level, or at least what will be some kind of maximum power level until the hard or higher level modes of the raid drop. And essentially virtually every source of gear that you can pick up can provide some kind of upgrade to your light level. But much like previous Destiny games, there is kind of a cap that happens at a certain point during the launch. So around power level 260, that's when the grind will become a little bit slower. Much like in Destiny 1, early on in the progression system, you'll get pieces of gear that kind of more drastically improve your light level. But once you hit around 260, that's when you're into the more end game content, and you'll have to look to kind of complete more stuff like Nightfalls and the Milestone stuff, as well as the kind of weekly flashpoint activities. So if we look at the Milestone tab right here, you can see that there is the Red War, you've got Call to Arms, Strikes, Flashpoints in the European Dead Zone, and then some specific challenges. Of course, we know that Call to Arms as well as Flashpoint events are end game activities, so they can drop, the higher level gear. So it's looking like the best option for kind of leveling up will be to obviously go into the campaign. This is also when it's a very good time to use your kind of XP boosters and stuff like that if you've got them from the promotions, and these will help you hit the initial level cap of level 20 as fast as possible. And obviously you have kind of the side quests, the side missions, and the public events, and you can opt to kind of go and do those activities, and you'll get more of the kind of lower level blue gear that will drastically improve your light level. But if we take note of these milestones, we're not entirely sure how much of it is locked as kind of being a weekly specific activity. Obviously, flashpoints happen once per week. You have Call to Arms, which happens once per week, and you've got the Nightfall. So assuming these are kind of locked into that particular reset, your best bet is not to complete this stuff until you get around about that 260 light level. Because obviously, if you've completed them and they are locked out for the week, then you will have got light level drops based on a much lower level. Of course, some of the milestones that pop up and the different challenges and stuff will be kind of unavoidable, and you may complete them, while you're doing the campaign. But I definitely recommend that you take note of, Call to Arms, Strikes, and Flashpoints, as well as any objectives that pop up in the Milestone tab that say they earn you powerful or legendary gear, because obviously later on you'll be able to get that stuff dropped at higher light levels, and the grind towards the upper kind of max level will be much easier if you've got access to that stuff in the weekly reset. But with a lot of these milestones, if you take a look at them, they have kind of a number of things that you need to do or a percentage, so it is possible to try and kind of edge these as you progress through other stuff, get them as close to, 100% as you can, and then once you're over this 260 cap, actually go and complete a bunch of that endgame stuff. Obviously, in the first couple of weeks, we will have a second reset before the raid actually drops, so if you complete the weekly lockout activities in the first week, you will be able to do them again on the Tuesday the next week before the raid drops, which is actually on the Wednesday. But like I said, hold on to as many milestones that say they have powerful legendary gear, exotic rewards even. If you can hold on to them, it's going to be beneficial once you're in the slower part of the light level grind at the end. But you guys can do that however you want to. I just wanted to point those things out. Up next, through the various pieces of information we've gotten recently, we now have more of an idea of how legendary shards will work in the game, and they are going to be somewhat influential as a currency. So AcceleratedIdeas.com actually posted an article based on a bunch of stuff they've kind of figured out and rounded up. So legendary shards are a currency that you actually have to earn. They're not like planetary materials and can't be, farmed, but you can earn legendary shards by dismantling legendary weapons and armor pieces, and each one you dismantle will grant you 2 shards. shards. If you find yourself dismantling an exotic, then these can give you up to 10 legendary shards. It's also possible to earn legendary shards as part of your reward from strike bosses, weekly nightfalls, flashpoints, planetary chests, as well as lost sector chests, raid chests, and encounters. Now, we know that legendary shards will be the primary currency for Xur, so when it comes to Xur kind of popping up in the first couple of weeks, it could be pretty useful to know where you can get these shards from. You know, it would be horrible for Xur to have some really cool stuff and you not to have any of the kind of currency or enough currency to actually pick any of it up. But obviously with the legendary shards, the description says that they can also be used to upgrade or to trade for gear. So it's possible that legendary shards will factor into the infusion system, for example. And again, you know, if you've got some exotics you really want to take into the raid or some specific pieces of gear, it'll be good to know how you can get these up to higher levels in the first couple of weeks. As far as trading gear, it's not entirely clear what that will mean because as far as we know, vendors won't sell gear specifically. It could just be, you know, referring to them being traded to Xur, for example, because most vendors should be granting rewards purely from reputation gains and not from, you know, actually having weapons and armor with different roles, you know, like we see in Destiny 1. So obviously with this leveling stuff that I've spoken about, as well as legendary shards, this is based on information we know and past experience with similar elements in the game. We have a pretty good idea of how it's working, but obviously things could be a little bit different in the final game. I just wanted to point out this stuff because it's likely going to be pretty useful. I also wanted to point something out from a recent PlayStation video where they take a look at the map in the European Dead Zone. We know that you can travel from one planet or moon or whatever to another without having to go to orbit first, and it's the same for game modes. You know, you can jump into a strike playlist from Patrol, you can jump into a strike playlist from the Crucible. You know, it's a pretty flexible system. But on top of this, if you're actually in an explorable location, so the European Dead Zone is the example right here, there are various landing points that you unlock over time as you kind of play through that location, and you can jump from one landing point to another inside of a location. So they only show us kind of the menu section right here, but the player is in one specific area, and you can see that they select the Trust Land, simply hit the button, and after a few seconds they are fast traveled into this new location. So that's a really cool addition. Obviously we knew that things like this would be possible, but I don't believe Bungie had actually broken down fast travel in one specific location at a time. So that's really cool. Obviously it looks like we're going to be spending much more of our time kind of in these worlds, in the explorable spaces, and as well as, you know, all of the new stuff they've actually put in there to do. They've given us other tools to make this, you know, a smooth transition as well. So there we go, guys. That is going to sum up this video. Just a few pointers and things to think about going into the launch coming up this week. Obviously it's very exciting. We're very close to when we finally get to play Destiny 2, man. Why can't they just release the game already? Now, just a couple of brief notes from me before I finish this video up, guys. Thank you so much for the continued support on the channel. It's been just completely insane. I can't even put it into words how much I appreciate it. We're gonna hit 80k subs at this rate pretty soon in the next day or so that's amazing. And again, thank you so much for that. Obviously it's a very spoiler heavy time for Destiny 2 stuff, and I'm doing my best to kind of, you know, keep stuff under wraps, not put things in the titles or in the thumbnails that will spoil anything for anybody. I'm also being selective about what I actually talk about, and I try to kind of let you guys know if something that I think is a spoiler, you know, I'll separate it into a separate section of the video. So I hope you guys appreciate that. I am kind of doing my absolute best with that stuff. Obviously the game is going to come out in just a few days, and I will be posting stuff about the game. I will continue to try and avoid putting spoilers in the videos. Obviously that gets more and more difficult, especially in the first kind of week of the game, because people are at different stages and stuff like that, right? But I'm going to continue to deliver the information. Spoilers will be as minimal as they can possibly be. When the game actually drops, I will go live on YouTube playing through some of the game, so obviously that will include kind of campaign stuff. So if you guys don't want to see that, then naturally I understand that, and you know, you can avoid that stream. Obviously it will be tagged that is what I'm doing and there are spoilers, so if you don't want to see it, you don't have to see it, but it's going to be absolutely insane, man. I just cannot wait for it. So thanks again, guys, for sticking with me. I appreciate all of the support. It's been incredible. We're in the final few days. We're getting so close to Destiny 2, and it's going to be amazing. As always, thank you guys for watching the video. If you did enjoy it, a like and comment below is appreciated. Let me know your thoughts or any tips you have for people going into Destiny 2 for leveling up and everything like that. If you are new to the channel and you managed to stay to the end, then I really appreciate it. Feel free to hit that subscribe button if you want to see a lot more Destiny 2 content going forward. But for now, guys, thanks for watching as always, and I hope you have an awesome day.